So back in the early 90s, Ibanez introduced a series of multicolored guitars that were based on the Ibanez Jem and the Ibanez Universe series. They were played by a guitarist named Steve Vai. Many of you that are watching this video probably know who he is. If you look on the cover of his album Passion and Warfare, which I put out in 1991, I think, it has his UVMC, Universe Multicolored Series 7-string guitar on it. That guitar was swirled by a guy named Darren Johansen. Now, Darren Johansen owned a company called About Time Designs. They still exist. Unfortunately, about 2 or 3 years ago, his shop burnt down and he lost most of his equipment. I don't know if he's going to get back up and running, but I hope he does one day because I'm a big patron of his. This guitar that I have here is swirled by About Time Designs. It came onto Facebook probably in 2021, 2020. It's right in the middle of the pandemic. And I was fortunate enough to message him real quickly and pick it up from him. He had a couple of bodies for sale, maybe 6 or 7. So I think I got 3 of those out of that batch. Now when I got it, it was just a plain body, had a clear coat on it. This body is not an Ibanez body from them. It is made by somebody else. I don't know who it was made by, but it's pretty close. There are a couple of things like the lion's claw isn't quite long enough and the handle on the back isn't sculpted the same way a real Ibanez Jem from the factory is sculpted. Plus this all access joint right here, this cutaway goes back a little way too far for what I compared to an RG 550. And it's a little thin on the neck. I'm always a little concerned, not the neck joint. I'm always a little concerned that this might suffer structural issues. So far it hasn't, but it's doing pretty good. So when Ibanez first initially released the multicolored series, it was just for the Ibanez Universe. The Ibanez Universe had a green, pink, yellow, and black motif. Later on, they did an Ibanez Jem. They did a green multicolored, which was just black and green. And then they did the purple multicolored, which was purple, yellow, pink, green, maybe some orange, depending on the fade of a lot of them. It looks like different colors. Now, I would say those out of all the Ibanez's that were put out have had the worst fade. Later on, he did the Jem 2K DNA, which was a multicolored swirl, but had a lot of Steve Vai's blood in it, so it's really red, and it's real blood. He took like pints of it. You can go on Steve Vai's channel. He'll talk about how he felt after that. Later on, Darren started to do custom-made one-offs. These, or this one actually in particular, was probably done around 2004, 2005. He gave me a certificate and it says the date. So he kind of actually sat on this one for 15 years before he actually sold it. The same with the 2 other ones. I have a purple multicolor 7-string and a test batch run of an original DNA that's a 6-string. After Darren did his initial run, other people started to emulate his work. At first, there was only one guy named Herc Fede. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. He did some beautiful runs. He's no longer with us. After Herc, other guys, especially one guy from England, his name is Alan. I don't know his last name, but he had a company called Out of This World. He did some beautiful ones. I was able to purchase some of his. Later on, guys like Richard Fay, Robo Swirls, a guy named May, it's M-A-I, has sold some bodies, and they have a bunch of others, Christopher Woods and whatnot. They've also had varying levels of success. The technique itself is you float paint on the surface of a body of water. Usually this body of water sits in a bathtub or in any type of container that's probably large enough to fit the whole body as you seek it underneath. As you push it through the water, the paint sticks to a white primed body, and then you pull it out, let it dry, cure, clear coat it, and then you have the guitar body. What type of paints people use? Really, I've had success using many different types of paints. There's a company called Magic Marble now that is pretty new to me. I've used their paints with great success. When I was first doing it 20-some years ago, I tried oil paints, acrylics, polyurethanes, even watercolors, which doesn't make sense because anything that's water soluble will just dissipate on the surface instantly. I've had best results with polyurethanes, car paints, 3Ms, PPGs. They've all had varying degrees of success. I've always tried to clear coat them with automotive 2K like Matrix or other PPG type of paints. So eventually I bought a pearl neck with the disappearing color inlay. So very similar to what the original Passion and Warfare Universe had on it. This one is a fixed neck guitar, so it means it has a nut. It doesn't have a locking nut on it. Really doesn't matter to me because I actually lock all my bridges. I don't use tremolo, or I don't do dive bombs. So this is locked in the back, so I can do alternate tunings on it. It's a pretty standard Ibanez Jem humbucker, single humbucker layout. It's a PAF Pro in the bridge, PAF Pro in the neck, and I think an Evolution middle pickup. Little things like the tip selector I haven't put on. That's the only part that's missing. And the only reason why is because since this is a one-off body, not everything exactly lines up. This pick guard is meant to go on a real Ibanez body, so I haven't been able to put a pickup selector tip on it because it quite doesn't fit. I may have to make one and print it myself. So on the rear, I actually had to custom print the pickup cavities. Actually, these two are factory, but this one is something I custom made and 3D printed because the cavity here is non-standard. Plus, I wanted to have a little bit of cutout and put some decoration on it.